All right, in this video, we are going to work on the problem, another in-class problem. It says, write a method that prints out in order every triple of consecutive characters that occur in a string parameter. Again, that should be one per line. Write another method that prints out in reverse order every triple of consecutive characters in its string parameter. Okay, if the value of the parameter is less than length 3, then just print out the entire value. Okay. All right, so first have a class header. I'm going to call this one print triples, and then the class body, and then the main method header. And then the main method body. In here, we will just call some of the methods that we're going to create. Print triples testing and print triples AB. And then we're not going to worry too much about the null value in this one. We saw, if you watch the previous example, then we show how to do that. All right, so let's work on the print triples method. So just make it public static void print triples. And then this should have a parameter for one string. All right, and we are going to if in the previous video, if you haven't watched that one, then you should probably just go ahead and watch it because it's very similar. We're going to set up a for loop, a standard loop that we keep using for arrays, array lists, and strings, right? That basically just will visit the every index, every possible index in there. Okay, and so now we just want to print out, and in this case we want to print out triples, right? 3 consecutive characters, right? So that means remember, to pull out characters you're either going to use char at or substring, right, most of the time. And so char at will only pull out 1 character at a time. We want to pull out 3 at a time, so we are going to use substring. We can pull out any amount that we want to, basically. So I am going to start at whatever the index is that we are currently on. So I will be the first index, the second index will be I plus 1, and the next one will be I plus 2. That won't quite work though, because it will only pull off 2 at a time, right? Because of the way substring works. Let me comment these out so we can compile this. And there's another issue here that we'll have to talk about as well. All right, so when we run this, again, it's not going to work for a couple of reasons. The first is it's only pulling off 2 characters at a time. Okay, we want 3, and that's the way substring works. Remember, it will not pull off when you use 2 arguments, right, to the substring. It will not pull off the character at this last index, right? So what we have to do is increase this by 1, right? And maybe it just kind of occurred to me, maybe that's why they make substring behave this way, right? Because then we want all triples, so length 3 substrings. So, then this number that you would put here would be 3, the length of the substring that you want to pull out. So maybe that's a reason why. All right, so we'll see that starts pulling off triples, but it's still not going to do what we want because it's going to crash right in the middle of it. And you can see we get this string index out of bounds exception. So that is very similar to the index out of bounds exception with that we get with arrays or array lists, right? And so what's going on is you can see when we print out these triples here, we're already at the last one, right? Because the last one starts at this index right here, and that's index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so testing is length 7. So that's the last one is at index 4, but this goes all the way to, tries to go all the way to index 5, index 6, index 7, and so on and so forth. So what we'll need to do is to shorten this up. Okay. So if we do index minus 3 and run that, you can see that's not going to work, right? We don't get the very last triple there, right? So if we do index in dot length minus 2, you can see there we get the final triple and no issues there. Okay. All right. Okay, and so that's what we want to do. And so the next thing is just add in the rest of that. So it says if the value of the parameter is less than length 3, then just print out the entire value. So if in dot length is less than 3, then system.out.println in. So just print out the whole string and then return. All right, and so less than length 3, which I guess you could just say less than length 4 here. You could actually increase that in the case that it was 3, like ABC. Okay, and be a little bit more efficient, I guess. All right, next up we want to do the same thing but with the reverse. Do it in reverse. So I'm going to just copy and paste and then uncomment out these calls. Because it's virtually the same thing that we want to do. The only difference, right, is we're going to have to swap these things right here. So length minus 2 is going to go here. Okay. We're going to go down 1. And I greater than minus 1. Let's see if that gets us what we want. Okay. So that didn't quite work. So let's see. So here we can see begin and length 7. Okay. So I guess maybe if we knock this down. Yeah, that gives us what we want. So we get all the triples, right, just in reverse. So same thing here. All right, so let's see why that didn't work with 2. So in dot length, so like testing is length 7, right? So in dot length will be 7. And then 7 minus 3 would have been 4, right? So this would have been 4. Oh yeah, what? So yeah, it would have been when we had this as length 2. That's when it was erroring out, right? Well, you know, it was that first triple that it was erroring out on. So the length, right, of in the case of this, when we call it with testing, that's length 7. So it would come down here. In dot length would be 7. 7 minus 2 would be 5, right? And then this would be 5 and then 8. Yeah, so that's a problem, right? Because it's going to try and take at 5, 6, and 7, right? And there is no index 7 on this. So yeah, that has to be 3 there. All right, whereas on this one, right, when we get to index, in dot length is 7, right? And so when we do 7 minus 2, that's 5. So yeah, it doesn't error out there. It's a little bit odd. What if we did? But if we do 3, we won't get that last triple, will we? Yeah, no. So it's 2 here. And I guess that's because of the fact that it takes out this this last character here. All right. All right, and so that is all for this example.